because you don't know church members except on Sabbath.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of relationship? Like, of course, everyone's arguing about the color of the carpet and like where to put the pulpit and stuff because there's no relationship there. Like, everyone's just individuals. They come together on Sabbath and then they try to like have their say with these other people that they don't really know. And I think that's probably why we have a lot of the dramatic church politics that we do. It's because people genuinely don't connect with each other. Like, show up to church, hear the sermon, decide whether you like the sermon or not, and go home. I think God created the church for more than just that.
Welcome back to Ministry Reimagined. This episode is super important because we got to talk about how stepping into ministry does not have to mean that you lose your hobbies and your passions and your interests to follow that call into ministry. We also talked about how important it is to establish a community in ministry to reach those outside of the church. Jeremiah has a really cool story in how he accepted his call into pastoring. How do people call it? I know people call you Jerry. Is that what you prefer?
I think these days I'm trying to go by Jeremiah because I'm trying to be more professional.
I get that. Did you go by Jerry like as a kid or?
In high school.
Okay.
And then some of college.
And you try to grow out of it?
Yeah. I don't care either way. I don't
Okay.
mind. But if I meet somebody new, I'll introduce myself as Jeremiah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Good to know. Well, Jeremiah. We just met kind of recently, but I've always seen some of the work you do. I've seen your photography. You're kind of the main photographer for a lot of the events. Yeah. And we're going to get into your passion about that. But first, I want to ask, because I feel like there's a lot of people that know of you maybe, but they don't know anything about you. Yeah. What's something that you would want them to know if you could?
Man. I don't know. That I like hanging out with people. I like meeting new people. I like going out on adventures. I like traveling. My first year here at Andrews, I was by myself, but I did a trip out to Banff, Canada.
Wow.
Went snowboarding and met up with some people there. Wow. So, yeah, I feel like I'm pretty adventurous, so I'm always down for a good adventure.
What's your favorite adventure?
Probably that one, going to Canada. Yeah. I don't think I've ever been in like a mountain range like that. And I had gone snowboarding by myself before I went like camping with some people. And I just like sat on the top of the mountain. It's like, wow, this is surreal.
That's incredible.
So,
now we know you love adventures.
Yeah.
And if anyone wants to take him out on... Never mind. I probably
if anyone wants to invite me on an adventure... Yeah.
I do want to ask how, because I know your Instagram, you're kind of known as PastorFlix. So that kind of combines your world of pastoring and your photography. Which one came first? Your passion for pastoring or photography?
Passion for photography, which actually it started off as videography. Oh. I went to a boarding school, really small boarding school, like 50, 60 kids. Wow. My freshman class was like 9 of us, and we graduated with 12, like this small. Okay. Yeah, but my parents sent me there because they wanted me to be a medical missionary pilot, and that school had an aviation program.
Wait, that's a lot.
Yeah.
A medical missionary pilot.
Yep.
Okay.
They really wanted me to be that. And so I went to that boarding school. Aviation. I thought that'd be cool. It ended up not working out, and they also had a video production program, so I did that. Wow. And I enjoyed it a lot. And then I did that for a year, and then the next year I had like gotten close with my instructor, and I just kind of like inserted myself into the yearbook team, and they were okay with that. So then that's how I got like into photography.
Wow. Okay.
And,
how did you know that aviation or piloting wasn't for you?
Honestly, I had kind of said yeah because my parents just said, and I didn't know anything else. Like, 13-year-old, I don't know what I'm going to do. Some people
Yeah.
knows, I did not know.
Yeah.
So I said yeah, but I just that passion never really came to me. And then the flight instructor ended up leaving by the time I was able to do it, so couldn't do it anyway.
Wow. Okay. So you were kind of forced to switch anyway.
Yeah.
So how did you pick videography or that area?
To be honest, the initial reason I chose video production was, so that school, the way it worked was you do school like half the day and you work half the day. And video production was like one of the jobs.
Okay.
And so, between like doing gardening or working in the kitchen or working on a computer making videos, I was like, this would probably be the more chill job. So I chose that. But I was also a little intrigued.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really fun. It was cool.
Interesting. Okay. So where did the pastoring side come from?
Well, I was involved a lot with ministry related things when I was in high school. Like I did canvassing, I did Bible working. I was boys dorm pastor a couple times. I would lead out in dorm worships, lead out in Sabbath schools, like leading. And I enjoyed those things, but I actually I didn't plan to be a pastor. I just liked doing those things. And then I remember my senior year, probably like midway through fall semester, I was talking with my parents and they're like, so do you know what you want to do? And for whatever reason, I just said, maybe I'll just do theology. Even though like I literally had not been thinking about it, had not really been praying about it.
Wow.
I was just living in the moment at high school. And yeah, I just said I would do theology. And later I thought about it and I was like, maybe that is a good thing because of all the things I'm doing. Maybe that's, I can see myself doing that. So that's where it started.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it just started from, I guess, you're describing it like an impulse, but it doesn't sound like it at all. Because it sounds like it's something you've been doing for so long. You just didn't know that that's what you wanted to keep doing.
I think so. Like it did, like honestly, it felt, to be honest, I probably am a little impulsive in my decisions. But yeah, the fact that I had been doing it, maybe just subconsciously, it was in there. They're like, oh yeah, like I could do this. Yeah.
Interesting. From your childhood, it sounds like you've always been in ministry and stuff like that. No?
Not necessarily involved in ministry, but my dad was a pastor when he was in India.
Okay.
But I didn't experience that life. Like they moved to America and I was born and he didn't get a job as a pastor here. But he still did a lot of like pastoral ministry. So I grew up around that, but it never appealed to me or anything. But I grew up in like the good Adventist home, going to Pathfinders, Adventurers, and Sabbath afternoons. I remember I would have to like memorize scripture and recite it to my parents, and I wouldn't be able to like do anything else until that was done.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess I grew up with a lot of ministry around me, but it wasn't something I was like a part of or involved in until high school.
How come you didn't feel like you were involved in it when you were? Oh, because you weren't.
I was like a participant, I guess.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Still, I feel like that's still a part of it.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just not.
But it wasn't like I wasn't doing those things and thinking like, oh yeah, like I want to be up front and like leading out and being a pastor and preaching and stuff. Honestly, the first thing I remember telling my parents that I wanted to be when I grew up was a NASCAR driver.
Oh. Where did that go? Why was that not in your plans?
I don't know. They race on Sabbath. What can you do?
Fair enough. Did you always know you wanted to end up working in it? Or was it just, like you said, the impulse?
No, it was honestly impulse. And to be honest, when I got to undergrad, I went to Southern and I enjoyed my program a lot. It was very helpful, very insightful, very practical, which is like, I'm practical. I can't sit through like a 2-hour lecture. That's so hard. But like when you let me do things with my hands, like I feel a lot more useful. And so that program was helpful. But after my freshman year, I did not think that I could do it. And I actually almost changed my major that summer and was considering being like a PT or a PTA. And I was like looking into all the classes, like the routes, and thought about registering for like A&P over the summer just to test the waters. And I didn't. But the whole time, even though I enjoyed what I did and or what I was learning, I just did not think that I really wanted to be a pastor. They would tell us, like, there were a lot of young pastors who, like, a year or two, maybe 5 years into their ministry would quit. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. Like, why pay through all this schooling? Why go start a career if I'm not even sure I want to do this? I don't know for sure if God has called me to this. Because I could see myself quitting. Like, all the drama that happens, I know all the drama that happens in church, even growing up, even though my dad wasn't a pastor, but just, being in that kind of atmosphere, like, I knew what it was. I knew the expectations people have on you, especially when you're a kid. And yeah, I was like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wrestled a lot with if I wanted to do this all the way up until I graduated. And even after that, after I graduated, I interviewed with conferences, and I was genuine, and as genuine as the best I could be, trying to get a job, even though I wasn't sure, and maybe that did still come across, even though I didn't want it to. So I never got a call back from anyone, and thought about coming to Andrews right after I graduated in 21, but I was like, why go pay more money, get more into debt when I don't know if this is what I want to do? So yeah, I took a year off. I worked at Chipotle for like 7 months, which honestly I'm grateful for because I feel like I'm a pretty good cook these days.
Because of Chipotle.
So, yeah.
That's good.
It taught me the basics.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I worked at Chipotle. And also, while I was from high school, actually, I had started cutting hair. And by the time I got to Southern, like, I was putting more into it. And by the time I graduated, I was cutting like almost 30 people a week.
Wow.
And at that time, I was charging like $20 a haircut. So I was making like
pretty good.
I was making like $2,000 a month off haircuts alone,
Wow.
And on top of working at Chipotle. But that was so draining, actually.
Stacked up.
But yeah, there were other barbers like locally that would charge like $40-$50 a haircut, and so I was like, oh, I could. I'm pretty good at this. I could make more money than a pastor, maybe. And I could still do ministry because, I could have conversations with people that I probably would not be able to have conversations with as a pastor because
you're not in the field.
Yeah, when you're sitting with somebody like in a chair like for like 30 minutes, you're going to have some kind of conversation. And, they come back every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. And so you like develop this relationship. And so I just saw like, oh, like this is something I can do. This is a skill I have. And I never really prayed about it, which was a big thing, I think, that I need to do. And so, yeah, I mean, I was doing all that stuff for that year, trying to figure out, and ended up deciding to register for barber school.
Okay.
Like, I was signed up for barber school at Chattanooga State.
Wow.
And I had a lot of hard conversations with my parents about it. They were not happy. And I mean, I understand, right? You pay for your kid to go to school to get a degree, and then they don't even, use it. But they finally, I think, were starting to accept it. And I was still, even though I felt like, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I was still under a whole lot of, like, it just felt so windy, so hazy. Like, shoot, what if this is a mistake? Like, I really don't know. And backtracking, right after I graduated, I got an opportunity to go be a pastor intern in Hawaii.
Wow.
For 9 months, which really cool. Who would want to go to Hawaii?
That's incredible.
Apparently me.
You didn't?
Didn't want to go to Hawaii.
Okay.
Didn't want to go to Hawaii.
Wow.
At the time I was in a relationship, which was part of probably like 60% of the reason I didn't want to go. But also, again, it was like, I was going to make like $600 a month. And why go do something for 9 months that I'm not sure I want to do and not make a bunch of money? So, yeah, I turned that at opportunity. And so coming back, 2022, I was out of the relationship, which was hard, and still like just so unsure about like what I was doing with my life. And I contacted a friend to like catch up who had gone to Hawaii. And he's like, hey, like the church I'm at actually is asking me if I know any like good intern to like take my place here, and you should come. And initially I said no. And we talked some more, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, okay, I don't think so. Like, I'm already signed up for, like, barber school. And then I thought about it some more, and I was like, man, what are the chances this opportunity comes to me twice? And I was struggling with my breakup, and I figured that maybe I needed to go somewhere, like, brand new setting, like, just have a mental reset. So I chose to go. And I'll be honest, I learned a few things, but it was a glorified vacation. I didn't do too much. Sabbaths, I was like super busy. But one thing that I did do was try to connect with the youth at that church. There was probably about like 8 of them. And 4 or 5 of them, I think, were like high school age. And there were these two guys who I connected with really well. And like we'd go hoop, we'd play video games together and stuff. And it was just fun. And I guess you could view that as like mission. But to me, it just, I don't know, in the moment, it just felt like, oh, I'm just like having fun. Yeah. And when I was getting ready to leave, and we had just like had like a youth group party, I think, at the church, and it was a lot of fun. And I remember afterwards we were about to leave, and one of the youth was like, hey, like we should like hang out at your house and like do this and that, and you can pick us up at this time. And then the other kid was like, hey, you can't just, like, plant things at his house. Like, got to ask him. And he's like, oh, it's okay. And he's, like, an older brother to me. I was like, oh, dang. Like, I didn't even know that, like, I was having that kind of impact. And it was then that I started to – there was still, like, no clear sign from God for me that, like, this was my calling. But I started to understand, like, shoot, I've been doing all these things. Like, I've been a part of ministry in some way, like, my whole life. Yeah. And, like, all the things I did in high school and, like, being here, like, the impact that I've been able to make on people, whether I realize it or not. Like, maybe God is nudging me. Like, God is using me. Yeah. And I just hadn't realized it. I just hadn't noticed it because I wasn't looking. Yeah. Interesting. I finished there, came back, and I was still on the fence about, like, shoot, do I want to go to Andrews and still, like, pay out of pocket for this? Yeah. And I worked at a summer camp. And at that summer camp, I met with the pastor, the camp pastor, and we had a conversation, and he said, oh, I'll put your name, like, I'll refer you to my ministerial director. I was like, I've heard this before. Like, it's going to get lost in the desk, right? And then probably like 2 or 3 weeks before school started, the Carolina conference called me. I was like, hey, we'd like to interview you. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I interviewed with them, genuine, like, hey, like, I'm passionate about these things. I'm passionate about cutting hair. I'm passionate about videography and photography. And I feel like these are good skills that could be used in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do that. And interview went well. And then they're like, we'll get back to you, let you know. And then 3 days later, they called me and they were like, hey, we'll sponsor you through. Like,
wow.
we really want you to be a part of our team.
Wow.
So, like, this, like, maybe, like, 10 days before school started.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, for years, you know, I've been looking for this sign from God to show me, like, I want you to be in ministry.
Hmm.
And I never got it.
Hmm.
And then as I started to realize, whoa, God is actually, like, there's no way, like, I did all these things just by chance, just for, like, the heck of it. Like,
Wow.
God had to have been opening these doors. And when I finally accepted that, that was when, you know, the call came.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's my story into ministry. It was never like a thing that I knew I wanted to do from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something that I care about, I'm passionate about, and God used that to help guide me to where I am today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I will say, I know because you just talked about last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about your story in Hawaii
Mm-hmm.
For student missions, and you still kind of believed that it wasn't really a mission at all.
Yeah.
And that you didn't even
Yeah.
do anything. But
Mhm.
I think that that's the best type of ministry that anyone can do.
Mm-hmm.
Just people by being in the community and, you know, being with them and living with them. I think that's because it feels like you're doing nothing, but
Yeah.
everyone like sees that
Mm-hmm.
and they can feel that. And so I think that's the most valuable, even if it feels like you're not doing anything.
Yeah. I was like, you know, what I told you earlier when you asked, what do you want people to know about you? It's like, I like hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Like, I'll invite people over for lunch. Or, like, I started making pizza, and so I've been having, like, pizza nights with a few friends. And
Wow.
and I might not even, like, be in the conversation with them. Like a conversation might be happening without me, and I just like being there. Like,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. It doesn't feel like ministry. But I think in a way it is.
I think so too, yeah. Because you're creating that space to happen.
Yeah.
Like you said, that even if you're not the one that's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
I hope this makes sense. Like when you were looking back at your life before, you know, like you said, you weren't praying about it and you weren't like reflecting or looking to see if God was the one behind it all and like if that was what you were meant to do. But now when you actually started looking for that and praying about it, you started to see it.
Yeah.
So you can't see what you're not looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think so often we want God to answer our prayers in a specific way. And if it's not answered that way, we don't think God is listening to us or God is answering our prayers. And in reality, God is answering it in some shape or form, but we're just like, we're not looking for it because our eyes are focused on like one specific thing. And God is like, when I was figuring out, like even in high school when I was still figuring out what to do, I remember I would preach a couple of like little sermons. We went on a trip once to a church for a weekend and I preached there. And these two like older ladies came at the end. They're like, "Oh, you're such a good speaker. Like you should be a pastor." And my initial thought was like, like young person up front, like of course, like they're gonna say something like that. But I got that a couple of times, and I didn't accept that as God's guidance and nudging. And honestly, I think that was. Like maybe there was a little bit of truth to, you know, it's a young person, but I think that was God speaking to me, but I wasn't listening at that point, looking for that.
Interesting. I'm curious because of other people that I've talked to when they become pastors or church leaders in a way, they avoid or they ran away from the call. Is that something that you think you were maybe subconsciously doing, or was it?
I think that the year after I graduated undergrad, I probably was running away from the call. I had all kinds of excuses for why I didn't want to be a pastor. Like, I'm not capable. I don't feel like I can handle the expectations. I'm a people pleaser. I'm too soft. Like, I couldn't see myself being a leader, like trying to lead people who were like 20, 30 years older than me as like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old at the time. How am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, yeah, I got a lot of practical information from school, but the reality, like the church politics, like they mentioned that, but I never really understood what exactly I was supposed to do. And so it's like God, I don't think I'm capable of doing this. Like, I don't want to mess this up.
Yeah.
A church that doesn't have good leadership is going to struggle. And people know when you're a good leader, like capable of leading. And if they don't see that in you, then they may not respect you or listen to you. At least that's what I thought. And those were my reasons for not doing it. But I don't think, now I understand that, like, honestly, nobody's ready. Like, even coming out of seminary, I remember seeing a survey in one of our classes, and it was like, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was a very staggering percentage of pastors who felt like even after grad school, they were not ready for ministry. And I think that's why you really have to rely on God, like completely, fully. And that's something that I was not doing at the time. Like, I mentioned that I was thinking about my hair cutting and my video stuff. Like, I was so focused on my skills and what I was capable of doing and what I was incapable of doing, when God is the one who, qualifies us and gives us the skills and things that we need, the tools that we need to do his work. And I think that's going to be the case even when I'm a 40, 50-year-old pastor. Like, I'm not going to know what to do in a lot of situations at that point either. Yeah. And I just have to stay relying on God. So.
That's true. What does being not ready look like when it comes to being a pastor? Like, or I guess, what does ready look like?
I don't know. I don't think anyone knows.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone knows what being ready looks like. 'Cause I don't think I know any pastor who would say that they were ready when they started ministry. I haven't talked to a lot of people like that, but I have no doubt that everyone would say I was not ready. But you learn, I think, to trust God in those moments. Not ready for me, like, I feel like it's honestly just the age thing. Like, as a younger person who I feel like still has some maturing to do and stuff, how do I talk to the 56-year-old husband who's losing his wife in the hospital? Like, I can't relate to that. I personally haven't even experienced a death that like shook me to my core. How am I gonna be able to like be that comfort for them as a pastor, or someone who's like well versed in the scriptures and doctrine because they've had a lot more time to study than I've been alive. Like, how can I give them new spiritual insight that like transforms? And so again, it's like, I'm not going to be ready, but I'm okay with that. I'm doing things to prepare myself for ministry as best as I can. But ultimately, like, God is the one that's using me, and so I'm trusting in him that, like, when those situations come, like, I trust that God will have me prepared and will, like, give me the things to say or, like, help me lead in a way that I didn't think I was capable of doing. Yeah.
I heard this one time, I should remember where, I'll put it up somewhere, but it's like just the idea that God wouldn't put you in places that you're not ready for. So if you accept the call to pastoring, he wouldn't put you in a situation like that where he knows you're not ready for it.
Yeah. There's just no knowing when you're actually ready.
Yeah.
But, God has always placed people in roles of lead. Like, I've been studying David the last couple of months and just finding new insights about, even right before he became king, he was still making some poor choices. And you would think that would make him incapable of being king of Israel. Like, how can you be a leader and you're making these, like, irrational decisions? But, even through those moments, like, God led David in spite of David's choices. And, there were David being a shepherd and taking care of the sheep was one of the things that prepared him for kingship, even though he didn't even realize that would be something. And Moses, the same thing, taking care of sheep in the wilderness for years. Like, he probably didn't think that this was preparing him to lead a whole nation of people, and it was. And so I have no doubt that maybe I haven't noticed it yet, but, like, there have been things that happened in my life. There have been situations that I've experienced that will probably come in handy later down the road.
For
It'll be cool to see.
Yeah. I would love to do a little update episode if this podcast is still running on how that played out. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I am wondering back, because as you said your dad was a pastor before you were born, but I'm guessing you grew up kind of in the church in some way. What made you not stray away from that, but actually keep choosing to be in it?
Honestly, it was probably my parents making me study scripture. And, like, being intentional about making sure I did devotions and, like, go up for children's story, even if I felt like I was too old for it. And, like, being a part of Adventures in Pathfinders, like, that could, like, going through all the motions. Like, you feel like that's going through all the motions, but honestly, they were not super strict, but strict enough to where it didn't feel like an overwhelming burden. And when I left to boarding school away from my parents with no one to tell me, like, make sure you read your Bible or your devotional this morning, like, it just continued.
Wow.
Like, and I think that's where my relationship with God actually started to grow. Like, up until 13, like, I believed in God. I didn't, have any identity crisis about my Christianity or anything, but it wasn't, I don't think it was authentic at that point. It was just, my parents are making me do this, and I'm doing this.
Yeah.
But I got to high school, and I was like, oh, this is what I was always doing, so let's keep doing it. And then that's when, once I made that personal choice to do it, I think that's where I started to, like, actually develop that relationship with God. And
what made you pick to keep doing it instead of just being like, hey, no one's making me do this anymore, I can just stop? Especially if it didn't feel real in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I think even though it didn't feel real, I wasn't, like, conscious that, like God was not, like, real. Like, I just, like, God, I believe that God was real, that, like, Jesus died for me and stuff. But it, like, just that relational aspect wasn't there. Like, it was more like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do so that I go to heaven, which I believed in, and I wanted to go to heaven. So, like, I'm going to be a good kid so that I can, go to heaven. And so that was there, but the relational aspect wasn't until I got to high school. And I don't know. Like, my parents sent me with, like, a Messages to Young People, the Ellen White, compilation book. They sent me with there, and I looked at it, and I was like, I want to see what this says.
Wow. And,
the school I went to was a very conservative, self-supporting boarding school. And it was difficult because it was hard being kind of policed around. Couldn't have, like, I didn't have smartphones. I had my first phone was a flip phone. Up until I was 17, I had a flip phone. And they gave us laptops, so we couldn't use like Facebook or any kind of social media or YouTube or anything. Couldn't date, obviously. And I feel like maybe most boarding schools are like that. I think some are a little more chill, but yeah. If you spend too much time with a girl, then you could like get put on what's called like social, which is ironic because that meant you couldn't be with them. Like this would not be allowed if we were on social
in high school.
Like,
wow,
we're too close. Like, you got to be in another room.
Another room.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like all those rules, man. It was crazy, and it was definitely burdensome for a lot of people, and it was burdensome for me too. But I think I just got there with this mentality that, you know what, I'm here for 4 years of my life. Why be miserable? Like, let's just try to make this like as good of an experience as I can with what's available. And so, yeah, I think that attitude really helped me. Like that's where I ended up doing canvassing and Bible working, and I wanted to grow spiritually. And there were a lot of people who were like spiritual mentors there that like gave insights, like biblical insights that I'd never like heard or thought of before. And I was like, whoa, like this is so cool. Like I want to be able to pull out insights like that. Like
wow.
I want to understand. And so, yeah, I think all those factors, the attitude of, you know, wanting to make the best of the situation was what helped me grow in my like personal relationship with God.
Wow. Is there a book of the Bible or just a book in general or a verse or something that's kind of like your motto or something that you hold on to sometimes when you need it? Yeah.
A verse that sticks out to me is actually a song that I sang in choir at high school. It was Isaiah 43 verse 1, which says, do not be afraid, do not fear, for I have redeemed you, I've called you by name, you are mine. Honestly, in song version, that song was just so good that it stuck with me, and I was like, oh, this is such a powerful verse too. Because, yeah, I mean, it applied to my life too, where I was worried, I was afraid of, you know, if I'm capable, if I'm good enough, like, am I a good person enough to, like, be a pastor? And, yeah, that verse that God has called me by name, that I'm his, I can rest in that, knowing that, like, I'll be okay. Like, wherever it is God places me, you know, back then, wherever God would place me, whether that's in ministry or something else, like, I'll be okay. And I just have to trust him in that, which is really hard to do. Like, even today, I still struggle, I feel like, with trusting God. Like, I'm impulsive. I want to take things into my own hands. And I have to take a step back a lot of times and just be like, dude, you got to trust God.
Yeah.
Like, I think God gave me these skills and talents, like this creative passion. I feel like all of us should be able to like tap into our creative potential in some kind of way. And like God can use that, but we can't depend on that, you know, to lead us. Like, let God use your skills for his honor and glory. And I think that's the best way to find like fulfillment and success. Because if I chased like my passion for videography and photography, and I know that I would feel so empty if it fell flat. And like I'm not getting as many likes on Instagram, or I'm not getting as many clients, I'm not making as much money as I thought I could make. And like, if I just solely depended on that, I know that I would be in a mess, you know? But it's like, okay, God, like I have these skills and I don't know what it's going to look like, I do so much here at Andrews, like all the social media, like making the reels, and I enjoy it so much. And I don't know, like, if I end up in a small town church, 2-church district, and it's like 50 people in a church, like, I might not use these skills in the same way I'm now. But maybe there will be a time where I could be part of a church and could do, media ministry or cut hair for the church members and build a relationship that way, I don't know what that looks like, but
yeah, that would be really cool. I feel like I haven't seen a pastor that does hair like that, but I think that's a good opportunity. That'd be really cool to be known for that. But yeah, I agree with I feel like a lot of the times people think you have to give up your passions to step into ministry, and I think that's very not true, because even David, he was a singer, he made songs, played the harp, and he didn't have to give that up to serve God. So I think that's a big thing.
No, I feel determined to not just be someone who like only does like pastoral work. Like I want to be, I'm super passionate about being myself. Like always. Obviously, like being a pastor, you are on a pedestal. Like people are looking at you, people have expectations. You can't meet all those expectations, but there does have to be a level of professionalism and stuff. You have to fulfill your role. But like at the same time, I think God wants us to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And I hear growing up, I grew up going to like so many different churches. I went to an Indian church. I went to a multicultural Asian church. I went to a black church. And I'd hear all these different preaching styles. And looking back on that, like a lot of those preaching styles, like I could not be, because it's just not me. And some of those preaching styles are like very powerful, like the way they enunciate, the way they like fluctuate their voice. It helps drive home their points.
Yeah.
But that's not me. And what I've heard people say is that I'm very conversational in my sermons. And they like that.
That's cool.
And that's just me.
Yeah.
Like I like talking with people. I like I said I don't like lectures. So if I don't like lectures, then I'm not going to be a lecturer,
Yeah.
So like, let's have a conversation. Like, I'm going to ask you questions, and I want you to think, because honestly, I don't have all the answers, and sometimes I might want to know, and so I'm going to ask you guys because I want to hear your input, and I think that's very important.
Yeah.
Like being able to connect with people in that way.
That's good. I agree. I feel like that's how God chooses who he does, because of their unique qualities and stuff. And I think, I believe, this is kind of my motto, that there's a market for everybody. And so a lot of the people, they might not have found their market. So they don't know, or they haven't found their producer. You know what I mean? Like they haven't found how to fulfill what they're looking for. And so I think each leader has that market that just is meant for them, but it just hasn't happened yet. So I think that's...
And like in due time, God knows your capabilities, God knows your skills, and I think God knows where each of us can shine at our best. And that's the part where we have to trust.
Like you said, you've been to so many different churches, you've worked and been a participant in so many different ministries. What is something you think is missing in the church, or something that could be done better?
I think it is in some places being done better, actually, but what I've noticed was missing was a lot of like small group stuff. Like small groups I had never heard of until I got to college. I mean, I had that at my boarding school because we were a small boarding school, right?
The whole school is a small group.
Yeah, like, we'd go to staff's house and like have Bible studies and just be like 5-10 of us. And so that was cool. But I didn't know that was something that was part of church life. I just thought like, oh, we're a small school. This is what it's going to be like. And then I got to Southern, and then their small groups was called life groups. And like they made that like a huge thing. Like there'd be a whole Vespers about it, and they'd go and make us like sign up after Vespers, give us a chance to sign up for different small groups. And I was like, oh shoot, this is cool. Like this is a great way to like meet new people and like, talk about anything, anything spiritual. And yeah, I was like, I want to do this. And so at one point, I started a small group with a friend, and it was pretty good. Like it was maybe sometimes there was just 4 of us. Sometimes there'd be like 8, 10 of us. But there were good conversations. And I was like, man, we need more of this at church. Like, I feel like church is always, for me, has just been, you go to church. The sermon. I mean, I grew up going to Sabbath school too. But there would be just like barely anybody there. So there's that, church, sermon, maybe potluck, and then you go home. And that was Sabbath. And it was honestly kind of lame, in my opinion. Like we make this whole thing about, we have to keep the Sabbath, and then our Sabbath, like mingling with people, is only about like 1 to maybe 3 hours in the whole day. And then we just go home and take a nap. Like, I mean, not like, yeah, the naps are good, and not to like diss anyone who takes Sabbath naps. Like I do too, but like, I remember thinking at one point, like there's got to be more. Like this is kind of boring. Like this Sabbath is boring. And small groups, I think, should be a ministry that is a part of every church. And I think that's something that I want to implement as a pastor, like help push like the creation of small groups, whether it's a big church or a small church. Even just going out to play pickleball with a couple of people, I think that like that's a good way to, because you don't know church members except on Sabbath. Like what kind of relationship, like of course everyone's arguing about the color of the carpet and like where to put the pulpit and stuff, because there's no relationship there. Like everyone's just individuals. They come together on Sabbath, and then they try to like have their say with these other people that they don't really know. And I think that's probably why we have a lot of the dramatic church politics that we do. It's because people genuinely don't connect with each other. Like, show up to church, hear the sermon, decide whether you like the sermon or not, and go home. I think God created the church for more than just that. And, I mean, the early church in Acts grew the way it did because they were meeting in each other's homes. They broke bread together, they sang songs. Like, that was probably like maybe like a group of 10, 20 people. That was church for them. We don't have that, especially like big churches. Like, sometimes I go to big churches, and I will go to like big churches because I like the pastor, like good sermon. And then I won't say the name of the church, but I went to a church once because I wanted to hear the pastor, and obviously other than the door greeters who had said Happy Sabbath when I walked in, like that was it. Like the church ended, I kind of like looked around to see if there was anybody I knew. Nobody came up to me. Like everybody just walked out, and I was like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah, that's it.
There's gotta be more to church than just that. Relationships with each other is super important. That's why I like inviting people over for food. It's probably the best way to get people to come over.
With food. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true, especially for college kids.
Yeah. But it's very bonding. Like, I've had good conversations with a couple of people who I just say were acquaintances, and we're eating at the table, and all of a sudden they're opening up. It's like, wow, I didn't know that you were so willing to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we need more of that at church.
Wow. Yeah, that's bring up a good point about how a lot of the people that work in church, it's really easy to just make it about running the program instead of being the church. And so all of that gets lost when what church even actually means and what it's supposed to be.
I know pastors like get put on a pedestal, but I feel like the expectations, I mean, it's just a personal thing, but I feel like they're so unfair. And I think I wish people understood that pastors are normal people too. Like we're just like you. Like we have some of the same struggles. Like, yes, we're much more ministry oriented, and like we have to be a lot more intentional with our relationship with God, with our Bible study, and I mean everybody should. I think everybody should, but pastors obviously have to like lead the flock, and so there comes like a higher obligation, but we're still normal people. Like I like my Snicker bars. I like watching sports. I like going on trips. I like skydiving. I like cars. Like, I feel like also with that, more pastors should tap into that normal side, maybe. Like, you want people to respect you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be able to, like, garner people's respect. But I think you don't want to lose yourself. Like, as a kid, I said that I would be a NASCAR driver, right? But I got into cars, I think, right after I graduated college because of a roommate that I was living with. And so I would go to, like, car meets and stuff. And obviously this is not Adventist affiliated, not Christian affiliated. Like, this is, like, people that are out there. But it was a chill environment. It wasn't like Fast and Furious movie, like those kind of vibes. It wasn't like that. It was just chill, like people like my age, not a lot of money, but had, some cool cars. There'd be some other more wealthy people with cooler cars. And you just pull up. Some meets were like cars and coffee. Okay. And it's just like, cool cars, coffee, like parents pushing their kids with strollers and like dogs walking around just looking at cars. And super chill. And I liked going to those things. There are some people who are like, that's stupid. Like, why go look at cars for like an hour? Yeah. That's kind of wild. But I liked it, especially. I mean, I would go take photos and stuff while I was there, and that helped me meet people and make connections in a field that I would otherwise never be able to like meet those people. Like, they're not gonna come to church, and like if I like just met them on the street and like, hey, you should come to my church, like they're not gonna come. But it's like hey, I took this photo of your car, like nice car, and then they'd like we talk, like maybe they'll want a photo shoot again, and so then I'll like develop this friendship with them. And I developed some good friendships with people that I still keep in touch to this day. Like, there's one dude in particular who he had a really cool like mini convertible, not mini convertible, like a small car called a Miata convertible. And he had done some cool things to it. And so I asked him like, hey, like, you want to do like a video? Like, I love your car. And we became good friends. We'd go out to eat. One time I even had like lunch with him and his family. And then mom would like invite me over for lunch at their house and stuff, or like come over for a movie. And even to this day, like this last winter break, I went to his house and we hung out, watched something. And there was one time where I invited him over to like do a community service project at a church, with the church, out like in a downtown like soup kitchen type thing, and he came with me. Okay. And so just that normal side of me, like the things that I'm into, and like you would think like, oh, cars are, that's materialistic, like of the world and stuff. But it genuinely gave me an opportunity to meet people in a way that I would not be able to like meet and connect with them. Yeah. And because of that, I developed a relationship and possibly opened a door that like they know. Eventually they knew. I don't like go up to them and be like, hey, I'm a pastor, but like they know now. But like we've already developed a friendship to where it's like they're okay with that, even though they don't necessarily believe yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think again, it's important to not lose your identity, because I think a lot of those normal things that people are into, you can be into, and it can be it can be a way to put your foot in the door.
Yeah. I think a huge misconception is that church is meant for people in the religion. And I think that that's kind of how it's built. I feel like a lot of people, it's so uncommon. It's very rare that people will go to a church, like let's say a Seventh-day Adventist church or even a Catholic Baptist church. They will not go in it unless they identify with that group. And so I think the way to reach those people and bring them in is, from what you're saying, is to go out there, reach them through car meets.
Pickleball, open gym.
Exactly.
At the YMCA, like.
Yeah.
And again, like this is why I think small groups are so important to the church. Because you're right. Like, growing up, I did not witness, like, very many, like, outside of the church baptisms.
Yeah.
Even to this day, other than, like, maybe a few, like, evangelistic series that have happened in certain places, I'll see a couple of baptisms there. But, like, generally, it's crazy to me that it sounds like, conferences have, like, they prefer, like, a certain number of baptisms every year. And it's like, I've only seen, like, baptisms of kids who grew up in the church.
Yeah.
Like, I've barely seen anybody outside of the church get baptized.
True.
And I think it's right. You're right. Because most people don't necessarily want to just, like, come to church, like, right off the bat. Like, all these people dressed up in suits and ties and nice dresses and, like, singing and, like, standing up. It's, I get it. Like, standing up and, like, reciting scripture. Sometimes I'm like, yo, this feels kind of culty. Like, if I was outside of the church and I came in and saw this, I would not feel very comfortable. But I understand why we do it, and I think it's cool that we do it. But it's just like if you don't have that understanding, like, you're not going to connect to that,
Exactly, yeah.
And so that's why I think small groups is important, because someone is much more likely, like your coworker, your buddy from the YMCA that you play basketball with, is more likely to come to your house, have a meal with people, and, like, you have a conversation about a book, maybe a Bible study, or maybe you just sharing with each other, like, testimonies and stuff. Like, they are more likely to come with that, and then you develop the relationship, and then you're like, hey, you want to come to my church? Like, we all go to this church, like, and, I think the Holy Spirit can move in people's hearts much more effectively that way than just, like, showing up, knocking on their door, like, hey, we're doing this evangelistic series.
Yeah. Very true. I agree, yeah. It's very rare that people will come into your church. It's just by you holding a sign and being like, hey, guys, come in. It's through that relationship. It's through whether they know they can trust you or not.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Everybody desires a relationship. So that's what you got to give them. True. Like, everyone wants authentic relationships, no strings attached. Even if that means like you can't just be friends with someone to bring them to church.
True.
Like, sometimes you just got to just be there for them and let God lead you. And maybe there will be a door that opens where you're like, hey, like, you should come to my church. It might, you might enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I'm not, going to car meets. And I don't know if this is necessarily the right mindset, but this is what I feel like has been working for me and makes me feel authentic. Is that I'm not going to these things because I'm trying to find people to bring to church. Yeah. I'm just trying to connect with people because I enjoy it. Yeah. And if I find an opportunity, like the one friend that I invited over to the community service outreach, like, then I'll take that chance.
Yeah.
But that comes with God's leading.
True, yeah. I think the most effective way is through, like you're saying with the small groups, is when there's space for people to ask questions about it. Because I think that's why also sermons aren't effective for reaching those people, because they don't get to ask anything for, like, if someone's preaching about, what's something that people preach about? If someone's preaching about, like...
And here's the thing, you can't even think of a sermon. Sermons are that effective.
Wow.
You hear them on Sabbath, and it's like, oh, wow, that's a good sermon. You go home, have lunch, you will remember like 2% of it.
Well...
But that's okay. Like,
no,
honestly,
I know.
I think that's okay.
I think it's true, but I also think that people should take initiative and try to, like, take notes about something you liked in the sermon or whatever. I don't know.
Yes.
That's something I try to do.
No.
But anyway.
That is a culture we need to create. But I think, like, yeah, that sermons are not the most effective way, I think, to minister to people. They're a tool, and they help. But like, you have to go and like take notes and look over the verses. Like, does what the speaker says make sense to you? Like, study it with someone. Like, talk about it.
Exactly.
Like,
when you actually
questions.
get to talk about it, that's when that actually gets answered for somebody. I love sermons. Sermons are great. I've heard some really great ones. But yeah, I think when you can actually expand on it and ask them questions, I think that's when it's most effective for anybody, even people that have grown up in the church for forever and they have questions, but probably were told, hey, don't ask anything, just believe by faith, or else if you don't ask questions, you're a doubter. I don't know.
Nah, I think God welcomes questions.
Yeah.
And like, I want to ask questions because I feel like, especially because I grew up in the church, it's easy. It has been easy for me to just accept stuff, and it's like, no, wait, what does this actually mean? Like, what does this say, and how does this apply to my life? Like, how can I relate to this character and like the choices they made? Like, is God leading in their choices, or did they make the choices themselves? Yeah. Like, I think we need to ask those questions because it helps you understand God more than if you just accept it as it is.
Yeah. I will say I feel motivated because I've been working with Chet Prescott, he's a chaplain here, to create a space like that for people to ask their questions. And I was building that for a while so it can actually happen as an event. And then it got kind of lost in my days of being busy. But this inspired me to start it up again because I think it's really important. And I think that's what I think more churches should do. Create that space to ask questions, whether it's an event or whether it's, something on social media, emails, or whatever. I think it's important. So thank you for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you like this episode and you want to support this podcast, please like the video, subscribe so you can see more, and comment so we know what you think. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.